The year was 1943, a very important year for me. Not only was it the year I was born, it was the year my father died, leaving my mother with 5 children and one on the way. That one on the way was me. Prior to my arrival, my mother was approached by a young couple from Ashland, Wisconsin. They said they heard of her plight, that she has just been widowed, that she had 5 children, and she had one on the way. They had no children and could have no children. Would my mother consider selling this unborn child to the couple in Ashland, Wisconsin? It took her only a moment, and she said, "No, it's our child. I'll raise that child. There's no reason why I would ever even consider that. But thank you for offering. Thank you for asking. But we'll be just fine. We'll get it done." That was 1943, in the middle of World War II, when nobody knew what was going to get done, how it was going to get done, and how they were going to make ends meet. A natural optimist, an aggressive optimist, somebody who decided she was going to get something done, and she got it done. So, as a widow with 5 children and one on the way, she looked into the future and said everything will be okay. Later, she married Bruno Walczak. Amazing guy, willing to take on a woman with 6 children. Prospects weren't that good. In fact, they had to move from Chequamegon Bay, Washburn, Wisconsin, to Fort Peck, Montana. You have to picture that Chequamegon Bay in northern Wisconsin, Washburn, Bayfield County, was one of the most beautiful areas in the state. Not only did it have a fabulous bay, the Apostle Islands, but all the hills were covered with white pine. Everybody loved that state. They had a huge contingency from Chicago that came up there just to vacation every summer. My mother, 6 children, and Bruno, planning to leave for Fort Peck, Montana. With all that and so much more riding on it, they both showed the courage that was necessary to make a move to Fort Peck, Montana. At that time, the largest earth-filled dam in the world was still being completed in Fort Peck. It's the eastern prairies of Montana, and there wasn't a tree in sight. The small village of Fort Peck supported primarily the working people who worked for and at the dam. Chequamegon Bay in Wisconsin to the Fort Peck Dam was dramatic. They wondered, had they made the right decision? Had they done what was good for the children? Had they done what was good for themselves? And they realized that they would have to make the best of a bad situation because they needed the work, they needed the money, and they needed to support this big family. They adapted well. Most of the kids were there, and they went on with their work like they should. Then one day, I was very young, I found my mother with tears in her eyes, something she never did. She always made fun of all the hardships and how they handled them. I said, "Why do you have the tears in your eyes?" And she just choked, "I miss the trees." I was unaware of the trees, the white pines that covered the hills by Washburn on Chequamegon Bay. I didn't realize how beautiful they were, so I didn't miss the trees as she did. It was many years later, after I'd visited that area in 1973, that I realized what they gave up to be in Fort Peck. And I decided then to write a tribute about that, but it was another 30 years before I did. Entitled, "She Missed the Trees." In 1945, on the Montana prairie. I miss the trees, she said. The Superior Lake dwarfed this lake by man, by the fort, by the dam. I miss the trees. The wind, like a train for glory, never stopped. It only cried, I miss the trees. 6 children, all left just as she rested with a view of his beloved bay amongst those trees. I miss him so, and I miss those trees. A new beginning in the barren land, by the lake, by man, by the fort, by the dam. I miss the trees. I miss the sweet smell of pine in this dusty, barren land. A new love now to hold me. He cared for me, even suffered like me, for he too missed the trees. All of the children reunited again, and a new baby girl arrived. I don't know when or why, but one bright morning by the lake, by man, by the fort, by the dam, it was our home in the land we loved. For a fast, happy time, we were family. Not missing the trees or the smell of pine, but loving our home by the lake, by man, by the fort, by the dam. The years rolled on, and we left our new home, changed for the better. No longer missing the trees, and no longer alone. Well, that was my tribute to my mother, who always was strong, who always was funny, who always gave us such a good example. It's never enough, tributes or gifts, for your mother's important, and you'll never forget all the things that she did for you that make you who you are. In a future video, I'm going to talk about the young girl that was born in 1948 to Mom and Bruno, and how very, very important she became in their lives and in the lives of all of us. She's a special spirit and the kind of person you want to know more about. In the meantime, thanks for watching.